Today we are going to solve the scenario-based question 2210 and 0478 paper, the O-level computer science, and especially this one is from the feb-march series 2026. So firstly, we are going to see what we have in this scenario-based question. They say a program is required to enable voting in a class survey, for example, to find the most popular smartphone. So it's a kind of a survey that is we are going to do in our class, which specific smartphone is a popular one. So in which we have a one-dimensional array with the name of option. So I'm going to draw a simple diagram for which we have a 1D array with the name of option. That stored the values from 0 to 12 option. Like we can have a variety of Samsung mobiles. We may have a variety of mobiles like iPhone and others like. So we have a 1D array with the name of options in which we have a 12 values. So we will start from the 0, 0, or we can start from the 1 till we have a value till the 12. A one-dimensional array with the name of votes is used to store the votes for between 2 to 100 users. So we may have another array with the name of votes. How many votes we get? That is also start from the 2 and till the values of 1,000. And then we have another one-dimensional array that is a vote count, where we have to count the number of votes. Is used to store the number of votes for each option. Yes, we have to store the array that represent the option number. Okay, so we may have another with the name of votes count, and that also must be related to the options, how many we have. Okay, they say write a program program of the following requirements. The first requirement is we have to initialize all the arrays before they are used. Then we have to input and validate the number of options. Automatically we have a 12 number of options available, so we have to validate that. Input each of the requirements option, okay, whatever the requirements have, and store them into the options array. Display the list of options for each voter and allow each voter to input their preferred option. Validate this input and store it into a votes array. Okay, so we have to validate that. Once all the votes have been input, count the number of voters, choose each option, and find the most and the least popular. Okay, so we have to find the popular, most popular one and the least as well. Output most and least popular option as well as the number of votes to selected each of these options. Okay, so we have to choose that as well. They say a program does not need to identify if 2 or more options are the equal, most, or least popular. You must use pseudocode and programming code. Yes. So we have a few requirements that we have to complete that. Like you can see, the first one is we have to initialize all the arrays before we are going to use that. So we have 3 arrays. So let's declare them or initialize them. So that automatically, because we are going to use the pseudocode, so for that we declare firstly the option array, and I hope you all know the syntax of the array initialization. Array, we have the requirements from 2 to till 12. So because we are going to start from the 2, so it means that instead of starting from the 0, we will start from 1 till 12. And because we are writing the option here, so the data type of the options will be a string. Like we are going to write the something, we may write the apple, so such type. Then we have to declare another one that is with the name of votes. That is also an array, and in which we have a range from 2 to till 1000. So we may again start from the 1 till the 1000. And in this array, because we are going to write the number of votes, so the data type of this type of array will be an integer. Okay. Okay. Then we have another, that is a vote count. That is also an array. And because it depends on the options, so the number of options we have, that are the 12. That is also the integer. Then, so we initialized all the array. So if we are going to initialize all the array, it means that we have to initialize all the variables that we are going to utilize in this problem. So for the, this is array initialization. Now we are going to declare some variables as well. Like we may use the variable with the name of indexes. So we name them as the index, and those will be an integer. We may have used a variable with the name of number of options. So I'm going to use a num option, number of votes. So I'm going to write the num votes or voters. That is also an integer. Then we may have a variable with the name of a vote. That is also an integer. And we may need other variable, like we have to put the most popular one, the least popular one. So the most popular, the least popular. And because that is a number of least popular, that is also have the data type with the name of integer. And because we have to count them as well, how many number we have most popular. So we may write a most votes and least votes. And these are also an integer type of a data type. So now we have declared all the type of variables and the arrays that we are going to use to solve this scenario-based question. So now, firstly, we are going to initialize the first array. that is the name of with the option and the votes. For that, firstly, I'm going to write the comment to initialize position of main address. Like the first, we have a with the name of option. So I'm going to use the book for and with the name of index one. And because we have a range from 1 to till 12, and I'm going to put the values in the array with the name of option. Option because it's a 1D array, so I should be a capital x1, and because these are the string data type, so I will put all the values in the first. And next would be a index 1. Okay, so I initialize the array with the name of option. So second array done, that is a vote. So again, I'm going to use the for loop, and here I'm going to utilize again the same variable index 1, and that will have a range from 1 to 1000. And same way, I'm going to write the name of array and the variable. And because it's a type of integer, it will automatically start from the 0 because I'm initializing first time. So the first value will be 0, and then again it will start from the 1 till the 1000. And next will be index 1. So this is how I initialize all the main arrays that we have. I have a two main. Now I am going to set a limits for them for the storage. So for that, I'm going to use the another color. So I'm writing the comment limit for server. So firstly, I have to give them the option as output. So I'm going to write the output that our users can see how many options will input. And automatically that will be a between or from 2 to till 12. Okay, so till there. And firstly, I'm going to output how many options you want to share with the user for the survey. Now, I'm going to validate that input. For that, firstly, I'm going to write the comment validation of it. So, because I have to validate till the 12, so for that, I have to use the like a kind of array with the name of option, having the value from 01 to till 12 or from 02 to till 12. If I have to validate that all the options are available. So for that, I'm going to use the loop that is a repeat. Repeat loop, and in which I'm going to say input what? Your option. So I have the variable with the name of num option. Yes, this one. For that, input num option means number of option that we want to choose. That should be a greater than 2 and less than 12. So because I'm going to repeat until both, so I'm going to write the if no, firstly they have to input and then I'm going to apply the validation rule, that is the if that particular num option is less than 2 or that particular num option is greater than 12. So it means that I applied here a wrong validation. Then what will happen? Output will be a wrong option. Choose from 2 to 12. Okay. So that would be a end. Because I have applied a repeat until loop, so I have to write the validation principle rule in a until, so that will be a num option that must be equal to or greater than, or I can write the greater than equal to 2 and num option less than equal to. Okay, so this is the validation rule, or I applied the validation. Okay, that particular option should be in between 2 or 12. Now, next is to validate a voter's votes as well. Number of votes. Same methodology. I'm going to utilize again a repeat until loop. Same method, I'm going to take the input. Same because the number of option, number of votes, I have the variable over there. Yes, num votes or num voters as well. And I will apply a validation rule if voters are greater than 1 and less than 1000. So here I'm going to write the if num voters are less than 2, same, or num voters are greater than 1000. So it means that I applied a wrong condition. So what will happen then? He will say you choose the correct number. Then will be output. You must choose or select or input number between 2 to 1000. Okay. Here will be again and if, and I have to apply the until, and in the until I will write the num voters are greater than equal to 2 and num voters are less than equal to 1000. So this is what a validation are applied on the voters array. Now I'm going to input and store the options related to the survey. What I'm going to write, input and store survey options that are available in the options array. So for that, again, I'm going to choose the for loop for that, for loop, and here I'm going to use again index 1 that will start from 1 to how much that I have applied in the option array. In the option array, I have a variable which will select how many options you want to choose. So I'm going to write the variable of that. The variable is new option. Number of options, sorry, not a new option, number. Then I will write the output, share on the screen, enter the survey option. Which one that particular person want to use, and that will be in a index. And I will input it into a option array. And I hope you could remember we have an index and next index 2, index 1, sorry. Same for that, I'm going to use the input and store the voters first. Input and store voters choices or choice. Same, just I have to change the name of variable that is in a num option, and I will write here a num voters. Same for loop will move with the variable index 1 from, because we have a 1 till num voters. So I will output enter, or I could write please enter the number of between 1 to till the num options. Number, because voter have to choose a number from 1 to till the number that voter choose, that is a null option. Options. So same, I'm going to so here that what I does, I output here how many options you want to choose from the option list. So that will be from 1 to till new number of options that have chosen that particular person. So for that, I'm going to vote. So for the voting, because somebody can choose more than one vote from that. So what I have to do, I have to use another loop, that is a for, and here I'm going to utilize the index 2. That will be from 1 to till same number of options. Okay, and I will output index 2, comma, the option that he particular person chooses and the whatever serial number that he have in the index. I hope you. And next we'll move to the index number 2. Done. Now I will apply a condition here. Okay, how many votes that particular person can choose. So for that, I'm going to apply a repeat until the repeat. Firstly, I will input a vote, and I hope you know the vote will be a from 1 to till number of options that particular person choose. So for that, I'm going to apply a condition here. If vote are less than 1, or vote are greater than the number that particular person. So for that, num option is the variable. Okay. If that is the incorrect one, then output will be a. So you have chosen a incorrect input. Okay. So it means that he has to choose from 1 to till that number. So I can write it is the number between 1 to 1 and that particular number. Okay. So there will be an AND if, and that will continue until vote should be greater than equal to 1 and vote should be less than equal to whatever will be a number. And because we have initialized the for loop here, this one, so we have to end that as well. So it means that will be continue till the next index 1. Done. So for till that, we applied all the condition and stored the input. Now, the second thing, we are going to find the most popular one and the least popular one. Then we will store it and count the survey, and then we'll output as well. So here we are going to find most and least popular plus store and count survey options. With that, I'm okay. So firstly, we have options that are from 1 to 10. For that, I'm going to use the loop. Okay, we have an index with the name of var, in which we have values from 1 to till 12. So whatever the number that we have counted, a word count, that will be in an index 1, and that will be initialized as a 0. Next, we will move to the index. Okay, so this is how we are going to count each and every option that is available. Next, we are going to count and store. So for that, again, we will go apply a for loop here, again with the name of index 1, and that will move from 1 to till the number of voters that votes. And that we will store in an index 2, and with the from the array votes, and in which we have a index 1. And we will continue voting that vote count index 2 and index 2 plus index 2. So this is how we are going to count. Next index. Done. This is how we will count how many votes we have. Now, as we are moving to find the most popular one and the least popular one. For that, we have a variable with the name of most popular. For that, firstly, we have to find the number of most votes. For that, we have to find it from the count or vote count array. Okay, and we will get the most popular from that. So firstly, we are going to initialize from the value 1. Same goes for the least votes as well. That we will get the value from the array vote count 1, and same least popular we are going to initialize as a. Now, which one is the most vote which got the highest kind of votes? No? So for that, we will again apply a loop here. So for loop with the index of 1, that will move from 2 to till number of options that particular voter have chosen. So we'll apply a condition if that vote count which we have a array from the variable index 1 is greater than most votes. Okay, if the number of vote count are greater than most votes, so that will be considered as a most popular. We will assign a value of index. Same goes for the least count, and we will end if we. Same for the least count, we will say give vote count from the index 1, but because it's a least, so we will write a condition in the opposite direction. It will be a least votes that we will get from the array least count, and we will assign value to the least popular, and same in the index 1. Then that will be a and this is how we will get our least popular and most popular. Done. Now we are going to, yes, we have a area. Now we are going to output all the results. For that, I'm going to use the firstly because I have to output the most popular one or option that we have chosen. I will output the most popular option was that I will get from the options array and where we have a variable with the name of most popular. In most popular, I will write it out. Yep. Then I will output. Okay, I have to write the number of votes also. So I will output most votes, comma, whatever votes we have. Done. Same for the least as. This was all about the popular one and the lowest one. But there is another thing, if you can see, output the most and least popular option, as well as the number of voters who have selected each of these options. Yes, we have already. Okay, that's that. This was the all about the scenario based quiz. Done.